What's going on, everybody? This is Mike, and this is Serial at Night podcast number 35. We've had 35 of these things. It's pretty crazy, and I'm sorry, I am messing with something on my audio mixer. There we go. And so anyway, 35 episodes, and man, there's a lot of things that I want to talk about. Actually, well, two things specifically: PC gaming, sim racing, consoles, and PC gaming. I mentioned PC gaming twice. I did that on purpose because I want to talk about sim racing and PC gaming, and then I want to talk about consoles and PC gaming, and then I want to talk about sim racing. So that is the four topics we have for tonight. It is actually still the 1st of July in the Twin Cities metro area of Minnesota. But before I get to those two topics and maybe a little VR, let's get the housekeeping out of the way. So, like always, if you want to call, you can certainly do that. Let's get that phone number out there, 678-995-5103. Again, 678-995-5103. Yes, that is an Atlanta number. I said Minnesota. We have another podcast on the website. It is Retro Jones, and that is where myself and my best friend Mitch, we talk retro games and a lot of other things. So be sure to check that out. Otherwise, if you are a fan of video games or retro games or sim racing or consoles or anything of that nature, go check out YouTube, youtube.com/RetroGameFix. You know what? In the show notes, and I don't do this enough, and unfortunately I hate to do it because I'm not an iTunes, go try to get reviews kind of guy. I kind of think, hey, if you like the show, listen to the show. But if you do enjoy the show, go ahead and give us a review on iTunes. That actually does help, even though a lot of people don't use iTunes anymore. But go ahead and check that out. And then RetroGameFix.com, you can find all of our contact information there, as well as Twitter.com at RetroGameFix, and YouTube.com, RetroGameFix, Facebook.com, RetroGameFix, all of the social media sites, RetroGameFix. Now that we got that out of the way, let's first talk about PC gaming. So, there has been a lot of news in PC gaming in the last couple weeks. We've got the release of the GTX 1070 about a month ago. We've got the release of the GTX 1080 about a month ago. We've got the release of the AMD 480 about 3 days ago. And man, this is a crazy conversation because much like console gaming, where you have Xbox and PS4 kind of out of the gate for these iterative releases, you got AMD and NVIDIA going different directions with the audience they're trying to capture, and it's interesting, and it's I think it's kind of refreshing. I've bought both cards. I played both cards. It depends on the card and when I bought it, but I've owned NVIDIA cards. I've owned AMD cards. Lately, though, I went from I'll be completely transparent here. I had a 970, and then I went to two 970s, and I sold my 970s and went to a 980 Ti, and then I eventually got a second 980 Ti, and then I sold those and got a 1080, and the next time now in stock pops up, I will be getting a second 1080. for 4K gaming, because I'm on that. I like to be on that cutting edge. But not everybody wants to be there. A lot of people just want to play games and want to get a solid upgrade. But one of the conversations that comes up a lot is NVIDIA, are they price gouging? Because, look, a 1080 is, you're for a reference model or even a quality non-reference model, you're spending $700. You are. And for a 1070, you're spending $400 to $450. And for the new AMD 480, it's $200, and it seems to be in line with the GTX 970 for the most part. And so a lot of conversation that's come out of this, now that the benchmarks have hit for the 480, is, will this make NVIDIA drop their prices on their cards? I don't think so, and the reason being is because, much like every card that releases, we all get excited. I got excited and sold my two 980 Ti's over the 1080, and I wish I wouldn't have, because every time a card releases, it falls in line with the same performance increase and the same pricing structure that we kind of fall into. And so before I get to the 480, I do want to talk a little bit about the 1080 and the 1070. So essentially, you're looking at $650 to $750 depending on the options you're getting on the 1080. It is a phenomenal card. It gets you the Pascal infrastructure, gets you the 60mm FinFET core, and you're in at the ground level of the new GPU architecture for NVIDIA. The 1070 is a little scaled down, but it's still in on that new infrastructure at $450. They're great. Like I said, I have a 1080. The thing flies. It flies. Obviously, it doesn't give me the performance of my two 980 Ti's that I had, but if I get another 1080, obviously that's going to be great. In this whole mix, AMD has been working on their Polaris architecture. And instead of, this is a kind of a change in pace. Instead of going blow for blow with NVIDIA, AMD came out of the gate and said, you know what? We're not going to try to compete right now. And why? I mean, honestly, why would you? That's a tough market to go into. NVIDIA is the heavyweight. Excuse me. I'm having an adult beverage this long weekend evening. So why would you? And so instead of trying to go blow for blow with the heavyweight, they said, you know what? Let's release a mid-tier card that can do VR at $200. The AMD RX 480, $200. And about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, people were showing the card and saying, hey, you can get two 480s that are going to outperform the 1080. NVIDIA. Turns out that's not really the case, but I don't think it needs to be. The AMD 480 at $200, if you can find one, is pretty much on par with the GTX 970. And people can say, well, the driver's this, the driver's that. I'm talking pure benchmarks right now. If you look at the benchmarks, the 480 and the 970 are usually within 3 to 4 frames per second, plus or minus, depending on the game. $200. That is crazy, considering the fact that the 970 was a $350 to a $400 card when it released. I mean, AMD is going after it. And I gotta be honest, I'm not a fan of spending $700 for 1080s, and we all know, NVIDIA people, we all know that we're paying more than we should be paying for these graphics cards. So AMD comes out of the gate and releases a card that immediately kills the secondhand market for the 970. Kills it. 970s right now, $150 if you want it used. And now we're sitting here going, well, what's the 490, the 490X going to bring? We'll see. I mean, I don't know. Again, usually a lot of these things are fluffed up. NVIDIA drivers always work great. They're always on top of it. But man, the 480 coming out. And again, I haven't done an AMD for a long time. But I got to be honest, I'm sick of every year NVIDIA's like another 50, another 50, another 50, another 50 on top of every card. And yes, inflation, blah, 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 blah. Man, there's only so much the market can bear, and you can say, well, the market's paying it. Yeah, we are. But I'm not sure how much of a fan I am for it. But that enthusiast PC market, man, we'll spend money. But that AMD 480 coming out at $200, outperforming the 970. And I know I tweeted this out. I said, we're now comparing a new AMD card to the last gen NVIDIA cards. Yo, we need to see what NVIDIA comes out with as a 1060 or a 1050 now, and what price range and how it performs. I'm curious. But I doubt that NVIDIA is going to just stand pat and let AMD. I mean, NVIDIA's in the driver's seat, in my opinion, at this point, because of how long it took AMD to get something out. But I am actually excited that, for a couple reasons, and this is no AMD, NVIDIA BS competition. What I'm excited for is, with these iterative console releases being driven by AMD APUs and GPUs, is that we're now seeing this gray area of PC gaming, console gaming, and if you want to get into PC gaming, there is no longer this huge financial barrier that used to, well, maybe pseudo existed, but now you can get a really high-end, brand new quality card for $200. So for me, that's exciting, even though it's not a card that I'm going to be purchasing. The other thing that's exciting about it is, now that we have this gray area that kind of is starting to blend architectures among the consoles and the PC, I really do feel like we're going to start to see PC games and PC ports that oftentimes used to be shit, Batman, Arkham Knight, really blend together, because I feel like now we're getting into a realm where the graphic scaling is going to be common between console and PC, and it's really going to be, what do you want? Do you want out of the box low end? Do you want out of the box mid range? Do you want out of the box high end? Right, where you get entry PS4, entry Xbox One, mid range Xbox S upscaling, maybe a thin PS4 with upscaling, or high end PS4, Xbox, PS4K, whatever, PS Neo, Xbox Scorpio, or do you want to really jump into it? And this is where Microsoft is really shining with the cross-buy. You can get Microsoft games on PC as long as you buy the Xbox One version. I feel like all of these architectures coming together, the GPUs, I feel like it really, really is a win for people that play video games, no matter the platform that you play on. And I know that sounds, company line, toe in the middle, the 7 out of 10, but I really do feel like, moving forward, everybody is going to come out of this thing a winner. So, speaking of PC gaming and console gaming, I want to talk a little bit about sim racing. So, if you've listened to the podcast before, if you listen to Retro Jones or Serial at Night, you know that Mitch and myself are huge racing fans, at least racing video game fans. And I have a sim racing rig, and I love it. And I often do videos about this on YouTube, youtube.com/RetroGameFix. But I wanted to hit on it again just to reiterate how fun this is and maybe throw away some of the misnomers. So I was asked a question the other day, is it worth it? And, you know, someone had mentioned, I've heard that the sim racing setups are shitty. They can be, and they can be awesome. It really is a case of, you know, how much money do you want to spend on it, and is it worth it to you? Excuse me. So, I think it's worth it. Now, I also think that you can get in at entry level and still have a good time, and you can get in at spend however much you want and have a great time. And so, entry level, so let me start out with my current rig. My current rig is a Thrustmaster TX base with the leather wheel attachment, whatever it is for Thrustmaster. I don't know. They have a couple of them. It's like the TM something, whatever. I've got the T3PA Pro pedals and the TH8A shifter, and I've got the Ozone Obutto cockpit. Prior to that cockpit and prior to that setup, I just had a G27 wheel, shifter, pedals with a play seat. And I had that for PS4, which was also awesome. And so if you want to get in at and this is going to be kind of relative, but at an entry level price, you can get a play seat shipped for like $350 during Black Friday and some other times of the year. And then you can get your G27 or now the G29 for PS4 for like, again, $350 shipped, the pedal, the shifter, you know, etc. That is all well and good. So you can get in with the cockpit for about $700. And that's awesome. The problem for me there is, and where I kind of got fed up with PlayStation, even though I was a huge Gran Turismo guy, is there just wasn't enough there for me. So that is what really led me to really, really loving my Xbox One and my and even the 360 to an extent, is the fact that, at least with the Xbox One currently, you can buy the Thrustmaster wheel and it also works on PC. So what does that do? Well, you get all the Forzas, you get all the console games. Now moving forward, you can buy Forza and get it on your console and your PC if you have the rig to play it. And so you get your Assetto Corsas, you get your iRacing, you get your Dirt Rally early editions. Then you get your Forzas and your Forza Horizons on Xbox. You get the Crew. All of these great things, all these great racing games. And that's why I settled in on the Thrustmaster stuff, especially for the Xbox, because it worked with PC and it worked with the consoles. Now, it didn't work with the PS4. And having come from a racing rig that all I did was Gran Turismo, I really want to play Gran Turismo with a racing wheel, and ultimately I'll probably buy the PS4 base, because and here's the good thing about the Thrustmaster stuff, so I can pop the wheel off of my current base and just lock it in and put the wheel on it, plug everything back up, and I can play. The problem is that's going to be another $300. And I don't really want to spend another $300 just to play Gran Turismo, but I probably will if I need to. But all that aside, I want to address the fact, is it worth it? The answer is yes. Yes, it's worth it. It's 100% worth it if you love racing. With some caveats, these racing rigs are not plug and play. A of all. You don't just plug it in. You need to figure out how you like to drive your rig. You need to figure out how you race your rig. You need to tune it to figure out what works for you. This is not plug it in and go. This is not arcade racing. That's not what it is. Also, a lot of people get into these racing rigs and go full arcade on it. And I've watched people do it in mine. And if you're racing in it and you suck, I've seen it time and time again, is most likely it's because you might be in a 500 horsepower car and all of a sudden you just fucking floor it and crash. And it's like, yeah, that would have probably happened if you fucking floored a Ferrari in water. You can't drive the car like that. It's a sim racing rig. So I want to give two caveats. A, if you go sim racing and you buy the rig and you spend the money on it, make sure to literally test drive it, set it up. You actually have the opportunity to really customize your rig to fit your driving style, which is what gets you low lap times while you're playing your racing games. Secondly, I cannot stress enough, you actually need to be, you can't drive it like a real car, but you need to be cognizant of the fact that you actually need to kind of drive the virtual car like it's a real car. Because the sim racing aspect of this has gotten so real, especially if you're in iRacing or something like that on PC, that you need to be cognizant of the fact that you can't drive like a jackass or the car is going to crash. And so if that's not something that you're interested in and that's not fun to you, then sim racing cockpits and rigs are not going to be worth your money. And at the same time, it's not going to be worth spending the $1,200. If you just want a wheel that you can plug in and play Need for Speed with, cool. Fine, go ahead and do that. You can get one for $200. You could get a Wiimote and play Mario Kart if that's the case. But if you want the most engaging, most apprehensive fucking experience you're going to get with sim racing, look into it. Look into the cockpits. I've done a review. The two of the most popular affordable ones that I found, I had the play seat for 5 years, and I switched to the Obutto Ozone. And I want to say this again. Everything that I talk about, everything I review, I buy myself. I purchase them myself. If I didn't, I would disclose that. I do, and it's because it's my hobby. I've said this before. A lot of people golf, go to concerts, go on vacations. No. I play video games. I buy video games. I'm fortunate enough to be able to buy these things myself. That's what I do. And I give honest opinions on it, whether it's from headphones, headsets, racing rigs, consoles, games. That's what I do. Might not agree with them, but they're my opinions. And so if you want to read those reviews, go to youtube.com/RetroGameFix. But there's so many options out there for sim racing. And if you're even slightly interested, I would say research it. But don't half-ass it. This is one of those hobbies where if you go in and you half-ass it and try to cut corners and save some money, you're not going to have a good time. And I say bare minimum, it's going to be a $700 investment. That's a play seat, your base entry-level Thrustmaster, and then if you want the shifter so you can do some of the classic cars and things like that, base entry $700. Even then, you want to go with the Logitech, $350 for the seat, base entry $700. So if you spend less than that and you don't have a good time, I don't know what to tell you. That's probably not actual sim racing. And so I just wanted to throw that out there and have that conversation. And you can totally go check out other podcasts we've had on this. But I did want to just throw that out there because it's bubbling up again. Forza Horizon 3 was announced. Forza 6 is still phenomenal. Gran Turismo is coming up. And so many other, even the arcade racing games benefit from it. And so I say I wouldn't shy away from it. I wouldn't. But it's definitely not a cheap hobby. And so I just wanted to hit on that. So if you have any sim cockpit, sim racing questions, again, feel free to email us. But again, I wanted to kind of get my excitement back out there for it because I love it. Very short little comment. VR. I love sim racing in VR. Here's the tough part. Here's where there's some, you're going to be able to say, are you contradicting yourself? And the answer is yes. Here's where. In VR, you can't feel the weight of the car. You can't feel the braking. You can't feel the inertia. You can't feel the movement. It's hard to play in VR. It's fucking awesome, but it's hard to play. And you can say, well, doesn't that same shit apply when you're playing on screen? The answer is yes, it does. But it's easier to adjust to when you're not in the headset. Because the headset literally tricks your brain to thinking you're in the car. But you're not in the car. So when you can't feel the turn, the motion, the brakes, the inertia, the acceleration, it is a mind F that I have not been able to get over. Again, there's some YouTube videos that we put on our channel, but man, it has a lot of promise. It's just not quite there for me yet. And even, and I don't have butt kickers or anything like that yet. But if I were to get some butt kickers and things and mount those on my rig, I feel like that would maybe help. But we'll see. We'll see where it goes. But I'm excited to see how the sim racing stuff actually works in VR once we get some more advanced integrations. I also say I was using DevKit, so that maybe had an impact. But anyway, keep an eye on that. But again, I want to get the Serial at Night out there. Episode number 35. Talk a little PC, talk a little PC cards, GPUs, APUs, and some sim racing. So, until next time, this is Mike, and I'll talk to you later. See ya.